Alright guys, hello, welcome to the video. We're going to be looking at a game I played in the Bourrasque on Pearl River. This is a very, very good game. We did over 5k damage, and I wanted to showcase it here for you guys. It was just an outstanding, stellar game, and I'm telling you, man, the Bourrasque is a very, very, very powerful tank. So, again, I always say this in all my videos, but keep in mind the current mark that you're seeing right now is what I'm at right now. This game was quite some time ago. I am looking to mark this vehicle. We're getting close to it, but keep in mind many good players play this vehicle, so it will take some time. And yeah, I think I can 2-mark it. I'm going to throw that out there. I think I can 2-mark it. I'm confident 2-marking it. 3-marking it is a whole nother thing, because of all the good players that play this vehicle. So I would like to emphasize 2-mark, and I don't know about getting a 3-mark, guys. But what I'm going to be doing here on Pearl River is running to this bush to see if I can get some initial spots. I play this thing just like a light tank at first. Just kind of depends on the map too. Like I might go to an area where I can get 2 easy shots on people's sides, like sides of their tank, if they're rushing somewhere. But it just doesn't really look like we're spotting much here, and I think that's because no one is really here. AMX is kind of giving me some information here. I'm going in with him, and as he continues to advance and doesn't spot anything, I'm thinking that we just have basically nothing here. And likely what's going to happen is we're going to lose the east side of the map instead. So I'm going to sit here. I'm going to wait for this T-25 to pull back. There he goes. We have to kind of fling that second shot at him as he goes behind cover. And this is something the Bourrasque is actually not good at, right? It's really not good at taking these quick aimed shots. It might work for you well in some situations when you're close to the enemy and stuff like that. But ultimately, this thing has a really, really long aiming time. So you always have to keep that in mind when you're playing it. That the aiming time is just going to take you a while, right? It's like a 3-second aiming time or something. I think like literally the only tanks in the game that have worse aiming times are like the KV2s and all the like Japanese heavies and stuff like that. Like, oh my goodness, man, this thing just has really bad aim time. But it's balanced in that way, because if you were to take this tank and then make it accurate on top of the fact that it's already OP with its burst damage and mobility and all that, yeah, man, no one would play anything other than the Bourrasque. So that's why I say I'm totally okay with it. Totally okay with it being, you know, balanced in that way, and that the tank just is not that accurate, right? So as the game kind of progresses here, I'm noticing that I'm going to have to defend over on the east side of the map. Like, this is just something we're going to have to do at some point, because they sent a lot more people over to the east. A lot of our heavies were kind of in the middle, and east just lost. And this is again why I'm not a big fan of playing heavies, because I've been playing the Chrysler GF quite a bit, right? And what I find when I play vehicles like that, like heavies that you just cannot, you're not even fast enough to get out of your own way, pretty much, right? Is that once you're there, you can't get out, right? You can't retreat. And I find that it's just, it's not eventful for me. It's very like unexciting, you know? Yeah, you brawl and you kind of aim for weak spots, and like, I get it. I get why people like heavies. But if you go there and only like 3 of your guys go there and there's like 6 enemies, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's nothing you can do about it. That's what I absolutely hate about playing heavies. Is like, it all just comes down to angling out properly, aiming properly, maybe a little bit of RNG, right? Obviously, we didn't have it that well here with the ricochet. And it's just, that's what it is, man. Like, you have to aim for weak spots, right? You have to kind of angle out, and you're just like working on people and going back and forth with each other, and it's like there's no other way to outplay people other than to just stick your armor in their face properly, right? And shoot weak spots, and game knowledge to understand weak spots, and aiming slowly and carefully to hit people's weak spots, right? Because certainly, you know, it could come down to aim. I said FFS AMX because he missed like 6 shots in a row on this guy and couldn't clean him up, and I thought it was hilarious. But that's my best explanation to you guys as to why I don't really like playing heavy tanks, right? I get it. Like, I get why people like them. I get, like, you know, it's cool to aim for weak spots and understand the way the tanks work, right? I get it. So I auto-lock the Bourrasque here. We're able to actually hit him with that shot, which is good. So a lot of times, again, I said those don't really go in. But yeah, that's my opinion. While you guys kind of continue watching this game, that's my opinion on heavies and even brawling kind of mediums and stuff like that. Like, I do find that if you're a good player with those vehicles, that I feel like a lot more times it's going to lead to a win. And the reason I say that is because a lot of maps now are made for brawling tanks, right? This is just the way the game kind of is right now. AMX is running after me here. Gonna just barely clip him here with the side of my tank. But that's the way this game is now, man. It's like a hold down meta type of game, right? And ultimately, what you'll find is that a lot of tanks are just made for hold down brawling tanks. And there's a lot of zones that you can go to brawl, stay hold down, side scrape, right? And that's just not my style of gaming. Like, I just don't like it, you know? Like, I like being able to outsmart people instead, by choosing different angles. And with something like the Bourrasque and with light tanks, you can do that, right? And that's why I really enjoy lights. And it's just, it really, like, when you play lights too, you have to really have good game knowledge and map knowledge. And I'm telling you, if you're one of those players that is, for some reason, watching my channel and you only play, like, heavy tanks and stuff like that, I would highly encourage you to play some light tanks or just something slightly different, right? Because your game knowledge will improve substantially. I'm telling you, like, substantially will improve, if you're willing to learn and play lights, right? Or just play more mobile vehicles that don't have armor, right? Because you really then have to learn, like, where you're going to get first shot opportunities, where you're going to be able to out angle someone, right? Even if you play a slightly hold down medium, like, let's say the Mod 1 or something like that, the T54 Mod 1, still, I think that's like one of the in-betweens where you can kind of get some game knowledge, but you can still kind of stay hold down, right? And still kind of brawl if you want to, right? Object 274A is another example. I just got that. That's not a bad tank. I do think it's a little more on the heavy side, and it's nothing like the Bourrasque, but I think you guys get what I'm saying here. So in this situation, right, we're about halfway through this game in terms of the time limit, right? I'm at 3340 damage and a little bit of assist. What I'm going to do at this point is pull up to these trees here that I've knocked previously, I believe, before I shot the Bourrasque before. And I'm just going to sit here. And this is a very effective spot to kind of scout. It's rare that it's needed, but I've sat here before in my light tanks with enemies behind me, right? You can see how I'm, like, moving my camera. I'll free replay camera it now. Free camera it, rather, not the actual free replay camera is when you go out, right? But I'll give you this view, and I want to describe for you some other situations I've been in where I've had teammates behind me here. I've sat in these bushes, and you're able to spot people that go through this area. And another big thing that this area will do is it prevents people from pushing like this if you're sitting here. And also, you will catch people that are trying to go like this, right? Or go the other way, right? In this little area right here, this roadway. So that's why I really like this, but you'll see we actually use it pretty effectively. Also to spot the Bourrasque when he was doing that, right? And then we use it to spot this area as well. Keep in mind this building is breakable, right? So just understand that, like, if you get spotted here, this is only going to block like 2 shots and then you're screwed. So don't sit behind that. If all of a sudden you get spotted, just run away, right? That's your best bet. AMX 1357 is seeing the T25 AT over there. I don't want to move. I feel like I'm in a pretty good location here, and I really don't want to move. I don't want the ISU to be blind, so I'm just going to sit here and kind of support him for now. And also, I will have first shot opportunity on people like the AE phase, right? I decide to shoot this guy. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I think I'm just going to shoot him. You know, you see me sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, do I want to hit this guy? I kind of want to give the ISU another chance. but then he's going to end up advancing. So I'm going to take this shot here, take that one there, and luckily the second one goes in, and now I'm going to put the building in between me and where that Waffle Panzer was sitting, right? And then just get safe here. And this is what makes this tank so powerful. GW Panther's targeting me. It's fine. This tank is able to clean people up like you wouldn't believe, man. I'm telling you, like, this tank, it's just OP, man. Right? The burst damage is just so freaking ridiculous that if you're a good player, and again, like I was just talking about before, if you understand the maps and stuff, you're going to be able to outplay people so easily in this tank. And I swear, man, like, sometimes on the opposing team, I will see people that are like in a Bourrasque platoon, like 2 people in a Bourrasque. The last game I played on Fjords was a Scorpion and 2 Bourrasques that were platooned together. And literally just the 3 of those guys almost won them the game at the end when we were all trying to push in. Because on Fjords, they had that one spawn where you can sit like at that back corner behind the rock there on that where the bridge goes across the water. And it's like on Fjords, man, that spot is just ridiculous, you know. The other spawn is pretty good too. But I'm telling you, like, I have carried games on Fjords in that back area, if you guys understand what I'm talking about. And having the 2 of them back there along with the Scorpion, like, no one wanted to push, and I didn't blame them at all, right? And these were very good players. Like, all 3 of them had like 10k WTRs. So here's a good example, though, of how we outplayed the 50 TP, right? The 50 TP had no idea that I was going to be here, right? T25, I'm just kind of getting the jump on him. Going to reload, and then we're going to go after the Waffle Panzer, and I think I do load my HE clip, because I do have a magazine with HE. So, getting out of breath, man. There's like just a lot to talk about in this video, and I had a previous video as well that I was really getting into, right? But yeah, like that's the thing, man, is like this vehicle, man, you're going to be able to outplay people, right? And on the 50 TP there, he had no idea I was coming. Like, he had no idea I was going to show there, and if I'm playing another tank, like a light tank, maybe I get one shot into him for like 250 damage, and it's like, ooh, boo-hoo. But with playing the Bourrasque, you literally have the mobility to do that times 3, right? You have the ability to be able to hit someone for 720 damage, like that. And it's like, how Wargaming thinks this is balanced, I will never know, but apparently it's balanced, right? So we're going to go after the Waffle Panzer here. I have a 64% win rate in this vehicle, and apparently they think that's balanced. He's waiting for me. This surprises me, and I'm going to explain this. I'm going to run after him here. I'm going to hit him. I'm going to run away. Watch this shot that he hits here on me. That shot, man. I could not believe he was able to put that in, especially because the Waffle Panzer turns so slowly, and the turret is like just really awkward. This shot, man, like this shot that he hits on me was absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't believe he hit that shot. But we are able to do a lot of damage to this guy using the HE shells, right? We did 953 to him with 2 HE shells. We kind of high rolled the 1 for sure. But eventually these guys are going to be able to win this game. We did 5,660 damage, 146 assists, and it was still kind of close, man. And I said, like, no way, bro. Like, I have to see that shot. But yeah, eventually we're going to win this game, guys. But I just couldn't believe this, right? Like, as I'm coming around the corner here, I'm thinking that I can definitely make it around. I know the Waffle Panzer has really good DPM. He's eventually going to go over here after our AMX. We speed this up a little bit so you guys can see what happens here. And he's just going to hit him a couple times. He's going to get into cover. And then he has the ISU that's coming to help him. So you guys can kind of see an overview of this real quick. AMX comes down. Waffle Panzer coming down, trying to go after him. There's just nothing he can do, and this is what I mean about the tank being awkward, right? Like, you see him trying to push the AMX-13 there, and like there's just no way, man. Like, he's trying to turn the turret, and it's just so freaking awkward, right? So that's the game, guys. That's the game. But yeah, I just couldn't believe this guy was able to hit this shot. I thought for sure I'd be able to get around this corner on him, but I was going to say I'm surprised that he was waiting for me to come up here. Like, this is kind of surprising, and the only reason I say that is because he was up here for how long? He was never spotted. I don't know if he got a couple shots off of people since the last, like, 7 minutes when I told you guys, all right, we're about halfway through this game, and I was, like, sitting in this area, right? I never saw him. He never was visible. So I guess he just stayed up here the whole time, and I almost think like it's possible he threw the game if he didn't have the proper shots, right? But after all that time, I come rushing up here, and he's literally at this corner waiting for someone to come up. And it's just, this is so surprising to me, especially because he looked like a very good player. And I'm like, man, like at this point, I'd probably be like sitting back here or something like that. Just like if I was in the Waffle Panzer, but maybe that's why I've not 3-marked that vehicle. So maybe this was the right play for him. But yeah, to be able to come up, load an HE magazine and hit this guy for 950 total, right? And still almost be able to FO, right? Out of here is incredible, right? And so this tank, man, is just very, 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 very strong, guys, in a good player's hands. So here's the emplates. I don't think anything was blind. We did get high caliber here, and here's the battle results. I know this video is getting pretty long because it was such a long replay, right? And again, you can see my equipment here. I do run it with the bond vents, and then that improved aiming in the V-stab. And yeah, my damage has gone up quite a bit in this vehicle because I've been playing it very, very well today, but I just haven't had to do a lot of spotting either. Just been doing a lot of damage, so I'm like well over 2200 now. But yeah, this tank, man, I'm telling you guys, this thing is very, very strong. I do not feel like I'm a 63% win rate player, but in this tank I am. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you for the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.